Welcome to the show, everybody. Michael with CoronavirusDiaries, and today I am blessed to be able to speak with Theresa May, the owner-operator of Heaven on Earth Healing. And Theresa and myself met not too long ago, actually. She was running a corporate Zen lab, and I had the opportunity to work with her for a little while prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. But before I share too much information, Theresa, why don't you share with the viewers, who are you? What is it that you do?
Well, hi, everybody. Well, for the last 20 years, I've been operating a private practice. Mostly, it started out in Stillwater, Minnesota, and then I expanded to more the Twin City area in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And so I would be one of those holistic practitioners that does a lot of different things under one umbrella. And the one umbrella would be the mind-body integrative wellness umbrella. So underneath that umbrella, I've been a practitioner of shiatsu and traditional Chinese medicine. I've practiced energy healing work, qigong, reiki, prana, reconnective work, shaman work. And then more mainstream wise, life coaching and hypnosis, and a little bit of past life regression work too. And so, so for about 21 years, I've been operating this private practice and, working with people for either short periods of time or really long periods. In fact, I still have clients from my 20 years ago.
Wow.
And in the last 2 years, I had this great gig as a contractor. I was doing wellness contracting work for a corporation. That's how you and I met. And then COVID or coronavirus came along, and then suddenly the Zen lab closed.
Everything changed, right?
Everything changed.
So before I want to cut in right now, before we go into, because you've made some pretty significant changes, as I'm sure a lot of people in the States and globally can attest to, just the shifting paradigms that we've all been forced into. And I'm looking forward to getting into that with you about how you've pivoted yourself and how you're doing problem solving. But before we go down that road, I'm curious. You've shared a little bit about some of your training that you've done for what you and kind of that path. Would you mind sharing a little bit of like what kind of brought you down the path, and what about it is so? Why do you gravitate towards it so much?
Oh, this is such a wonderful segue right now, because healthcare is such a big issue. And back in the days, 30 years ago or so, I was a struggling single mom and I didn't have any health insurance. So I really struggled with, how do I stay healthy when I can't afford to even go in for a throat culture? So, it was really, that was the beginning of my path of really doing some research on how to stay healthy instead of get sick. And at one point, I was actually studying social work, and I was veering towards psychology, as becoming a psychologist.
Sure.
And then the doors closed again. It was like this weird situation happened right as I was entering that field. And I fortunately had met a guy who was studying Chinese medicine, and it just happened that I had an asthma attack in front of him, and
Wow.
he knew what acupuncture points that he should use to stop my asthma attack, and bam, like that, it was gone. And I was so
Wow.
I was so surprised by that I went, what is this? What path have I been on? I've been taking inhalers and antihistamines and
Pharma. Yeah, the big pharma.
yeah, totally. I was on all kinds of different kinds of medication. And from that moment on, I started to look at, well, I can eat better. I can eat healthier. I can take supplements. I can, do what I can to learn about plants and animals. And then it was in year 2000 was when I went out to South Dakota for World Peace and Prayer Day ceremonies with the Lakota people.
Wow.
And yeah.
Wow. When was that again? I was
It was in the year 2000. It was the year that they were bringing the eagle and the condor, the people of the Lakota tribe and the people of Central America, the condor, and people came from all over the world, from Australia to Germany and
That's
Great Britain
incredible.
to New
Wow.
York and Alaska. People were coming in on horseback that had been doing this journey for like 6 months. And so it was really a
Wow.
it was a really wonderful, profound experience for a whole week. My kids and myself, we sat with the elders and we studied and learned from every story that they had for us. And on one particular day, I remember one of the elders took us, he was a medicine man, and he took us up the side of the Black Hills, and he pointed to every plant and he said, "That's medicine. This is medicine. That's medicine. And this is good for this, and this is good for that." And I was so profoundly affected by that. I could not, when I got home, I could not mow my yard because I saw there was medicine there. It was everywhere. And like for the first time, I didn't mow my yard, and the city got mad at me and said, "You have to mow your yard." And I literally was transplanting these so-called weeds to the side of the house so that I could keep using them as medicine.
So I want to jump in really quick. I'm curious, when you went down this route then and you started pursuing this holistic medicinal kind of route, wellness, before we started talking, you'd shared how um, there's like this dual factor of physical well-being and spiritual well-being, and in that capacity or something along those lines. And I'm curious, when you started going down this path, did you notice a big shift in your own? Was it kind of like a fast, like something that just happened and you're like suddenly going, okay, I haven't had to go to the doctor for a long time? Or
you know, but I think I was really planted here to have really rough experiences, actually. I honestly believe that the only way I probably would grow was through hardship and disasters. Really, honestly, I chose the most difficult parents to have, the most abusive situations to go through, and yet I came out of that learning how to love myself. So, man, there was always a seed inside of me that knew that I was here for a purpose, and that there was something inside of me that I knew I was meant to offer and offer to the world somehow. And I guess that has always been there. So whenever something got wiped away completely, I was always in that place of, okay, what's next? You know, I mean, and at first I would struggle with that, like everyone. You're attached to something that we call reality, our normal.
a
And
paradigm that's shifting as we speak.
right, exactly. So while some people have never had that experience of having the rug pulled out from underneath you, if you haven't had that experience before, it's easy to get stuck in anxiety and panic and, hoarding, shopping and stuff like that. And when it happened to me, I mean, I gave myself a day and a half really to just be compassionate with my own feelings and let that.
Process what was
Yep,
happening.
yep, yep. And that's a practice called Maitri, by the way. It's a Buddhist practice. And
Maitri.
Maitri, yeah, it's the practice of loving kindness to yourself and to others. And so,
Well,
yeah,
isn't it the saying is that you got to love yourself before you can love others, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So, like in the middle of my, the Zen Lab closing, that meant my income was drastically going to shift and change.
And this
Um,
all came about, I mean, what, in a matter of weeks for the most part, right? It went
right.
from something on the horizon, like maybe this is going to happen, to a couple weeks, and it was going, okay, this is going to happen, and it's going to happen shortly. Figure something out. So yeah, maybe we jump into that.
Yeah,
Yeah, as
yeah,
far as that shift happening, right?
yeah.
You had this beautiful space. it was totally zen. For the viewers and the listeners, like it
Yeah.
was one of those places that you'd walk into. It had the ambiance, it had the everything about it was just inviting, and then you would get to work with Theresa, and it was just a great experience. You know, you come out feeling refreshed in whether it was you'd done yoga there and meditation, and
Yeah.
you did a number of things in the space, but
Mhm.
so you go from having this space and having this environment to work with to literally having to lock the door and walk away. And now that we're all under this government imposed lockdown, stay at home, you've been working from home.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about the initial, like, say that, because that first week or so when it was coming down the chute, that you were going, okay, this has to happen. I don't, and you
Hmm.
learned a lot in a short amount of time. So maybe just jump into it and
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so most of my day had been up to COVID-19. My day was pretty much filled with clients all day long and all week long. And then when I was told that the Zen Lab was closing and that's it, better find something else. I quickly jumped on. Okay, I have always had this other thing on the back burner, but I've never really given it much time because I've been so busy with real, people in front of me. And
yeah.
suddenly I can't do that anymore. And all of my regular people that I see on a regular basis were all one on one or in a close proximity, far from that just 6 feet distance thing. So I had to quickly shift into the other mode that I had on the back burner for a long. Sorry. Yeah, on the back burner for a long time, and that was working with people at a distance. And I've done that in the past. In 20 years, I've worked with people in California, New York.
And you're referring to this digital
Uh,
world that we're going into, where we're
yeah, right, exactly. And this was when Skype first came out a few years back. And what was that, like
a few
10 years
years,
ago?
maybe a little
12?
longer than a few, but yeah,
Maybe,
yeah.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, I started working with people on the East Coast. For whatever reason, they started finding me.
Nice.
And the next thing I know, I was working with people in Greece and in France and in Great Britain. And so anyway, I learned how to use Skype for that time period. And then I would work with clients on the West Coast on occasion too, but over the phone or through Skype.
And these
And
are individual basis types of
right.
engagements. I think you had mentioned also having had done larger group types of
Yes.
things before.
Oh, yeah. About 3 or 4 years ago, one of my teachers from the Wisdom Teachings of the Delicate Lodge, Firehawk is his name, and Pele is his.
Where is that out of?
They're out of California, but the teachings come from Central America and Mayan and pre-Mayan teachings.
Wow.
So they're the medicine keepers of that bundle of knowledge. And he just so happens to also be really good in media. And he reached out to everybody and said, "Hey, I'm really feeling inspired to teach people how to bring the sacred to online, presence." And so he started offering this, the art of hosting online. And I got to meet people from all over the world. It was amazing. My heart was so open. I mean, if you can imagine, and it's just the two of us here on Zoom, but here in these classes or courses we were taking, there were probably 40 to 50 people
Sure.
on the average on every call. And
And
so I got to meet people from all over. It was a wonderful experience.
so now, fast forward, COVID's happening, the world's on lockdown, and you're transitioning into your own. You have a YouTube channel now that you're producing content, and you're also trying to engage in more of the digital world, which is the norm, or is becoming the norm now. You mind sharing a little bit about kind of what's happening right now, where the rubber meets the road, and kind of where you're trying to take it here in the near future?
Well, sure. I think that and with the help of a few video guys that are helping out with my YouTube channel, I would be totally lost without them right now. So I have to say that learning how to get on YouTube and start a channel and all of that has been, I mean, the learning curve is like really sharp, really high. And I'm still learning. There's so many millions of pieces that I have to look at every day of, oh, that's right. I have to learn how to do that too. Oh, okay.
I mean, you're talking about everything from conceptualizing the content to capturing it through video with lighting, with sound, uploading it, the right format, you know, the tags, the hashtag, like you're talking about basically this entire learning curve from a start to a finish of, you know, producing content on YouTube.
Right. Right.
And learning the technology that goes with it to include whether it's cameras or phones that you're using, the microphones, basic editing. You're doing your own video editing, correct?
Kind of, sort of.
Well,
I would not call it even close to editing, like not like the video guys are doing for sure.
okay.
I'm learning though. I'm still teaching myself. I have a lot to learn still, but
Sure.
that's not the main focus anyway. I mean, really what's driving me right now is how can I still be of service to people without having to hold an office and offer physical space
Sure.
for them. I can still hold space for people online and make it sacred and you know, make it count for them. And I think that that's the most important piece that I've been really trying to focus on the last few days, because it's
Nice.
so easy for anybody, even without this learning curve of technology that I'm trying to jump into. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just the situation of everybody, you know, scrambling to figure out what they're going to do next. Those who are unemployed and can apply for unemployment. Those who are an essential worker and still are forced to be out there and take a risk with their own health and well-being.
Right.
So everybody's angst, their anxiety is pretty high right now. So it
Sure.
doesn't really matter where your focus is. There's a lot of stress out there. And what I really want to do is try to hone it down and get people to downshift.
Do
You
you
know,
get, do you have a method of helping people find, to do the inward looking, like how to go that route?
yeah, I'm working on that. I've been putting together these raw meditation pieces
Nice.
for YouTube, but eventually I want to really bring people together via live groups.
Yeah.
I think that my, you know, what's meant to come out of my mouth is meant to be around people. And
Sure.
my dynamics are always stronger when I have a group of people that I'm working with, because somehow I'm tuning into the audience and I'm feeling their needs, and then I tap in and I can offer that with that guidance or whatever is needed in that time. So YouTube is just a really small piece of that. And what I'm really working on is creating tribes
Sure.
in a positive way. I know that
And
the tribalism can be slanted towards a negative, but I want people to think of it more towards
everybody's got to find their own tribe. I mean, everybody's part of a tribe, and it's just a way of thinking. It's, you know, they say you're like the average of your 5 closest people that you hang out with, and that's for better or worse. You know, whether people are in fitness and exercise or they smoke and drink a lot, you're going to be the average of your closest held social groups. So
right.
um, it'll be really interesting to see where you take the live. I know this is something that you've been working towards with the live groups and that. So for the viewers and the listeners, all of Theresa's information is going to be below in the about section, so you can definitely find her and reach out that way. What's the best way for people to reach out to you, Theresa?
Well, you could go to my website, because that's probably the easiest way. It's called www.heavenonearthhealing.com, and
Perfect.
yeah, and it's Theresa May, May. Yeah, that's probably the
Great.
best way. My email address is pretty long, so just go
We'll
to the
have that in
website.
the links
Yeah,
below. Yeah.
right. All right, just click on that. I hope I hear from you, and yeah, we'll
Yeah,
get through
no,
this.
we're trying to be cognizant of time right now, Theresa. I know you're very busy yourself. You've got a really heavy schedule with, you know, getting everything launched and going. But for the viewers and listeners, we're going to try to make this a regular thing where we'll touch base with Theresa May and see what's new and what's happening, and what maybe, some classes or something that are getting offered, maybe some live sessions to get involved in. That's going to be about every, roughly 10 days or so. We'll try to reach back out and connect. Was there anything that you wanted to share before we end our session?
That's it.
Breathe.
Just breathe. Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it.
Just breathe and hang in there. I'll have more to offer as we can keep this communication going. So,
Beautiful. Well, I
thanks,
appreciate
Micah.
it. Thank you for your time. It's greatly appreciated. For the viewers and listeners, again, stick around. There's going to be more coming with Theresa May in the near future, as well as a variety of other content on the Coronavirus Diaries. But until then, you guys stay safe out there. Keep doing what you're doing. We're all going to get through this together. Later.